Hello, good morning, and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. On behalf of BYJU'S, I wish all of you a happy Holi and a happy International Women's Day. Also, on account of the Holi, the Hindu newspaper will not hit the stands tomorrow, so we will be back with the Hindu Newspaper Analysis on the 10th of March. Also, do not forget to join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. because tomorrow we are launching the Phase 2 of the Target Prelims 2023 crash course. And in this Phase 2, we shall be discussing 400 plus current affairs topics across subjects. So do not forget to join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. So let's get started and look at and analyze today's The Hindu newspaper. These are the topics that we shall be discussing today. And let's talk about topic number 1, challenging dogma. If a dog bites a man, it is not news. If a man bites a dog, it is news. This is what journalism students are taught in the journalism schools, but not anymore. Because of the recent developments, we saw a 4-year-old boy was mauled by the stray dogs and ultimately led to his death. India has the dubious distinction of being the world's rabies capital as well as the stray dog or dog bite capital of the world. According to the livestock census of 2019, there are 1.5 crore stray dogs in India. But look at the challenge. On one hand, we have dogs who are the companions of human beings, perhaps considered to be human beings' best friend. But at the same time, these dogs are the descendants of wolves. And these dogs, basically, these are territorial animals. They want to expand their territory. And this is what the Hindu newspaper says. We need to keep a look at the threat of stray dogs and look at it from the perspective of public health. It is a public health issue after all. There are rules. There is Prevention of Cruelty Against Animals Act. There are dog bite rules as well, according to which if there are dogs which are incurable, they are mortally wounded, we can euthanize them. We can kill them, we can cull them. But if there are registered dogs, it is the responsibility of the owner to take care of these dogs. But according to this editorial, although the law and the rules which are being drafted right now, they do talk about euthanizing, culling these stray dogs, but only if they are mortally wounded, only if they are incurable. But what about those stray dogs which are languishing in the open and ultimately posing a threat to the safety and the security of the well-being, particularly the children? And India has also committed that we will eliminate rabies by the year 2030. In this backdrop, what should be the solution that we can propose to tackle this menace of dog bites or stray cattle? Let's recap. Dogs, they are your companions, but at the same time descendants of wolves, and they have their territorial instincts. They want to expand their territory. We have seen 1.5 crore stray dogs in India, which makes India the dubious distinction of being the world's dog bite capital as well as the world's rabies capital. And if our commitment is to eliminate rabies by the year 2030, then what is it that we need to do? Is euthanizing dogs the solution? Is killing the dogs the solution? Or is there a solution in the form of sterilization? What is the best solution that we can have to tackle this menace of stray dogs? The best example is Jaipur. Jaipur is considered to be the model for stray dogs population control. And what happened in Jaipur? One non-governmental organization help in suffering. And similar role is played by non-governmental organizations in Chennai as well. Help in Suffering India, a non-governmental organization, it started a pilot program in some parts of Jaipur, not the entire Jaipur, some parts of Jaipur, way back in 1994, to tackle this menace of dog bites and stray dogs. And by the year 2002, the number of incidents of rabies was 0. That means in less than 10 years, this non-governmental organization was in a position to control the incident of rabies in those parts of Jaipur where they are operating. But in the other parts of Jaipur, we still saw the incidents of rabies. So what exactly was done by this Help in Suffering organization, which led to the control of the menace of the stray dogs? What happens? These organizations, this non-governmental organization, they have trained dog catchers. So they would go to a particular locality, the trained dog catchers, they will catch these stray dogs, they will transport them to Help in India Suffering hospital. And then in this hospital, they are examined by the trained veterinarians, and at the same time, under the supervision of anesthesia doctors, sterilization takes place. Which means if it is a male dog, the testicles will be removed. If it's a female dog, the ovaries will be removed, the uterus will be removed, and sterilization will take place. And then these dogs, they are registered, they stay at the hospital after the sterilization as well, till they are fully fit, and then they are transported back and released in the same location from where they were captured. Because you need to understand that dogs are territorial animals. That means if from this territory the dogs are removed, the dogs are killed, there will be other dogs in the neighborhood who will now occupy this space. Because in urban areas, in our neighborhood, there is no shortage of garbage. And garbage is what is fed to these stray dogs. So since these dogs are territorial animals, the other dogs will now control and occupy this territory from where we have removed the dogs. So we need to send these dogs back to the same territory. And because of that, we have seen that the incidence of rabies in Jaipur area where Help in Suffering NGO was operating, the incidence reduced to 0. That is something that we need to do in the other parts of the country as well. But not just this. Is euthanizing dogs the only solution? There are experts who say no. Why? Because if you euthanize dogs, if you kill dogs, what will happen? You will see the increase in the number of young dogs who will now occupy the territory, which means the average year lifespan of a dog would reduce. And according to various experts, younger dogs are more likely responsible for the transmission of rabies. So we need not cull and kill the dogs. The best solution is sterilization. But sterilization how? Dogs normally reproduce twice a year. So if we need to control their population in terms of controlling the number of reproductions, for that we need to have the rate of sterilization more than the rate of reproduction. And according to experts, that will happen if 70% of the dogs are sterilized. Sterilization should be the focus of the policy makers to tackle this menace of stray dogs, because euthanizing them may not be the best solution, because that would reduce the average lifespan of the dog, which means younger dogs will be in the neighborhood and they are more likely to lead to the transmission of rabies. And for that, we need to focus on sterilization. And that will happen only if we do it at a rapid pace, so that the rate of sterilization is more than the rate of the reproduction. And that will happen if 70% of the dogs are sterilized. And that is what this editorial says. India's poorest will continue to suffer. India's poorest will continue to suffer if we do not locate this problem of stray dogs from the perspective of public health. And that is what you need to understand from this editorial, Challenging Dogma. Clear? Let's look at another issue, home and away. Fake news, rumors. What are these fake news and rumors? That migrant workers from Bihar, Jharkhand, they were attacked in Tamil Nadu. Primarily because they are the migrants. Why? Because there is an allegation, some sort of regionalism which has emerged in India, sons of the soil. Regionalism per se is not a bad ideology. If you want to take care of your own culture, own language, there is absolutely no harm in that. But according to the Constitution, under Article 19(1)(d), under Article 19(1)(e), you have the right of movement. All the citizens of India, they have the right to move freely throughout the territory of India. According to Article 19(1)(e), you have the right to reside and settle anywhere within the territory of India. And both these fundamental rights, they are primarily part to implement the objective that is mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution, which is fraternity, a sense of commonhood. Despite the fact, a sense of common brotherhood, despite the fact that we are unique, we are diverse. There is linguistic diversity, there is cultural diversity, there is religious diversity, there is tribal diversity, there is caste diversity. Despite the fact that we are diverse, yet we are united, unity in diversity. And for that, we need freedom of movement, freedom to reside and settle anywhere within the territory of India. And at the same time, Article 19(1)(f) talks about that you can take up any trade, any occupation, any profession, and that is your fundamental right. And if there are migrants from Bihar, from Jharkhand, who are now working in Tamil Nadu, it is their fundamental right to be there, because they are also citizens. But now, Sons of the Soil movement, which initially started in Maharashtra, for example, where initially the people from Tamil Nadu were attacked. Because the logic is, misplaced logic is, that when the migrants come from outside to our state, they snatch our jobs, they snatch our livelihood. So the number of locals in employment, their numbers are reducing. That is why we want to ensure that these migrants don't come and work and operate from our territory. But there were rumors. This was fake news that members of Bihar and Jharkhand, they were attacked in Tamil Nadu and in other parts of the state, primarily because they were alleged to have snatched the jobs of the locals. But what has happened in Tamil Nadu is the textbook example of how the politicians should behave. So if the question is asked in the examination, how exactly do we deal with the situation? We need to take the leaf out of the book of what happened in Tamil Nadu. What happened in Tamil Nadu? Immediate FIR was lodged against those who were indulging in these rumors and fake news. In fact, Dainik Jagran, the editor of this newspaper, was also booked. And then we saw two chief ministers communicating with each other regularly. The chief minister of Bihar and the chief minister of Tamil Nadu. This also tells us something beautiful about the emergence of regional political parties in India. Now, if the chief minister of Tamil Nadu would have been from a political party which is in power in Delhi, and the chief minister of Bihar would have been from an opposition political party, then this issue would have snowballed into a big controversy and ultimately would have led to a lot of conflict in our federal structure. Maybe it helped that the chief ministers of both the states, they are from the opposition camp. And they have had some self of camaraderie with each other, and ultimately they spoke to each other and calmed the tempers down. That's number one. That means first, the textbook example of what should be done in cases such as these. Number one, immediate registration of FIR. Even against those who are indulging in fake news and rumors, even if it is the editor of a newspaper. Then, contact between the two chief ministers. And this is where officers from Jharkhand and Bihar, they visited some areas of Tamil Nadu where there is a predominant population of the migrants and reassured them that you are safe, we will take care of you. In fact, the chief minister of Tamil Nadu has also met some of the migrants and assured them that we are here to take care of you. This is what is needed to calm the tempers down, to have some level of political connect, so that the ideas which are mentioned in the Constitution, they are preserved. The objective which is mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution, which is fraternity, that is strengthened. But this editorial also talks about supplementing the benefits under One Nation, One Ration Card. One Nation, One Ration Card, which was launched in August 2019, basically on the directives of the Supreme Court. Under this One Nation, One Ration Card, what happens? We have National Food Security Act, under which there are beneficiaries. What beneficiaries can do? They can approach a local PDS shop, fair price shop of public distribution system, and buy food grains at subsidized rates. For example, rice at 1 rupee per kg, wheat at 2 rupee per kg, grains at 3 rupees per kg. But the problem is, what about the migrants? In a sense, I am from Bihar. I can get benefit from the National Food Security Act. I can get subsidized food grains from a nearby public distribution system shop, fair price shop. But what if I am in Tamil Nadu, working in Tamil Nadu, but I have the ration card which is valid in Bihar? For that, in 2019, a landmark, beautiful scheme was launched that even if you are from Bihar, but you are working in Tamil Nadu, there you can access a nearby fair price shop of the public distribution system and get the subsidized food grains. So your ration card will be valid throughout the country. This is the best for a migrant worker. But for example, you are eligible for 1 kg of rice. You can go to a nearby fair price shop in Tamil Nadu and get half a kg of this subsidized ration. The remaining half a kg, your family in Bihar can get access to. So this is a beautiful scheme. And what the editorial is talking about, that the state government in Tamil Nadu, which has implemented a lot of schemes to supplement One Nation, One Ration Card, edible oil should also be given to these migrants so that they are able to reap the benefits of some sort of Dravidian form of governance that is there in Tamil Nadu, so that they can get access to edible oils as well. That will reassure these migrants, and it will go a long way in ensuring unity in diversity. So what happened in Tamil Nadu? Rumors, fake news, but the response to that rumor and fake news, displayed by the political will of the two chief ministers and the quick action by the police in booking these rumor mongers, that is what is going to be the textbook template to follow when such incidents recur in India. And that is what you need to understand from this topic, home and away. Clear? Perfect. Now, third column is heat in India set to get worse. For example, February, it was the hottest month since 1901. Not just that, Lancet published a study which contains data of the past 2 decades. And this data tells us that there has been an increase in the temperatures in winter as well as in summers. That's another key observation. Third observation is even the DTR, which is diurnal temperature range, difference between the daily minimum temperature and the maximum temperature. This is considered to be one barometer to check the weather stability. And even this DTR, diurnal temperature range, it has drastically fallen in India, particularly in the central part of India and also specifically in some areas which are in Indo-Gangetic plains. And because of that, we have seen crop failures. Because of that, we have seen increase in the incidence of death due to extreme heat. Then what is the solution? The solution is Sendai framework. Sendai framework, which talks about the period 2015 to 2030. Some facts related to this. It is the successor to Hyogo framework for climate action. (2005 to 2015). In 2015, United Nations also accepted this Sendai framework. Basically, it says that the state will have the responsibility to mitigate disaster risk. But if the responsibility is on the state should also share this responsibility with non-governmental organizations, with the private players as well, with other stakeholders, so that all of us can come together and we will mitigate the risk caused due to disasters. Disasters can be cyclones, disasters can be hurricanes, disasters can be extreme heat waves as well. And for that, what we need to implement is early warning system. For example, in India, Prime Minister Mr. Modi has also taken stock of the extreme heat wave conditions that are seen in the northern India and other parts of India as well. For that, what we can do, for example, is that if you are a district collector, this can be a classic case, classic example that can be asked in your ethics case study as well. You are head of a district. Indian Meteorological Department has issued a heat wave advisory. What are the steps that you can take to mitigate deaths or to eliminate deaths due to extreme heat? For example, we can change the school timings. School timings can be changed because children are more vulnerable to this extreme heat, so that they can be brought back from the schools before 12 o'clock when the temperatures are soaring, when the sun is at its peak. That's number one that we can do. Maybe we can explore work from home for some time till these extreme heat wave conditions mitigate. Third, what we can do are public parks. These are normally closed during the day. Why can't we keep these public parks open so that rickshaw pullers, traffic policemen, they can use these public parks, rest under the shade for some time? Early warning system, which means awareness. Use social media, use print media, electronic media, all India radio bulletins, which are being listened to by a large number of our population, particularly in rural India. AIR bulletins should be frequently displaying awareness about the extreme heat wave conditions. Also, MG Narega work should be stopped for that period. For example, MG Narega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, the schemes under this, where people are working in the open sun and working to build some capital assets. Under the extreme heat wave conditions, they are vulnerable to these conditions as well. So MG Narega work can be stopped for 10 days, 15 days, when we see this health warning, when we see this advisory which is going to be causing havoc to the lives and the security of these people. All these things, if done, make ORS solutions readily available. Drinking water should be made readily available so that we can mitigate the ill effects caused due to extreme heat wave conditions. But this can only be for a short term. That means these are short-term solutions that we can propose to mitigate these extreme heat wave conditions. Long term, we need to indulge in a lot of research. Lot of research in the sense so that we can build buildings which are capable of not emitting more heat. That means we don't need air conditioners, or we need less use of air conditioners, so that ultimately the environment is also preserved. For example, one university in Germany, they have now invented a paint, a white paint. If you use that white paint inside your automobile as well, it will lower the temperature inside your car, which further means that you will not be requiring the ACs as well, to a large extent. Similarly, there are some countries such as Toronto and Paris where there are emergency cooling centers where people can go, cool themselves and save themselves from the extreme heat wave conditions. There are also areas such as in Abu Dhabi where there are self-shading tower blocks, where there are shades. For example, the equipment that we use, the sunlight which touches these equipments, they are not able to radiate much of the heat. That means you are self-shading a particular tower. Some of these towers are there in Abu Dhabi which can be used to mitigate the sufferings caused due to extreme heat wave. So we need to pump in a lot of money to carry out research activities so that we can come up with those solutions in our infrastructure building, in our automobile manufacturing, where we can see that those materials are used which do not dissipate more heat, which do not release more heat. And that is how we can tackle this menace of heat wave to a large extent. And that is what you need to know from this topic: is heat in India set to get worse? Let's look at topic number 4, the concerns over linking Aadhaar with voter IDs. When Aadhaar as a project was launched, it was primarily viewed as DBT. What is DBT? Direct benefit transfer. For example, there is a beneficiary and we have to give scholarship, old age pension or subsidy to this beneficiary. Instead of giving this subsidy or benefit through a middleman, let's eradicate the middleman from this picture and directly transfer these benefits to the bank accounts of the beneficiary. So we want to eliminate the leakage in the system through this middleman. But at the same time, we have to ensure the identity of the beneficiary. We have to ensure that this benefit is reaching the intended beneficiary, and for that we need to prove the identity. And we also need to ensure that there is no duplication. Same person is not reaping the benefits of the subsidy multiple times. For that, Aadhaar was considered as a solution because Aadhaar is unique. A unique 12-digit identification number where you have to give your biometrics as well in the form of iris scan, in the form of fingerprints, where Aadhaar is unique. So if Aadhaar is linked with the bank account of the beneficiary, the benefits will directly transfer into the bank account of the beneficiary. Since it is linked with Aadhaar, you can't have more than one Aadhaar, which means duplication, leakage in the system is taken care of, is tackled, and that is how we can give benefits to the intended beneficiary. Because the former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi way back in 1980 said, if 1 rupee is sent to people to elevate the poverty in India, 85 paisa is not reaching the beneficiary. Where is that 85 paisa going? It is pocketed by the middleman. There is leakage in the system. And to tackle that, we needed something like Aadhaar. But this Aadhaar was challenged in the court. But the court allowed the use of Aadhaar, particularly for welfare schemes and also for PAN. That means your permanent account number can also be linked with Aadhaar. For all other things, it can be optional. Now, what has happened in 2021, the Election Laws Amendment Act was passed. And basically this law, which was passed by the Parliament, it allowed interlinking of Aadhaar with the voter IDs. What is the benefit out of this? We want to purify our electoral rolls. That's number one. For example, if there is an individual who is enrolled in multiple constituencies, we need to purify the system so that a voter can be enrolled only in one constituency. For that, we need to link this voter ID with the Aadhaar card to remove the duplication system. Number one. Number two, India is a vibrant, flourishing democracy. But we see massive number of people, they are unable to cast vote, unable to participate in the democracy because they are migrants. They are short-term migrants. That means for short term, they are migrating from their areas to another area, to another place for work, for livelihood, for other reasons. And to ensure that these individuals are able to vote remotely as well from the area where they are working, for that we need to link it with the Aadhaar. Why? because I am from Bihar, but working in Tamil Nadu, I am a registered voter in Bihar. I may also be allowed to vote in Tamil Nadu if remote voting is allowed. But I may also come and vote in Bihar as well. So for that, we need to purify our electoral rolls and link these voter IDs with the Aadhaar. But there are activists who have raised concerns. Concerns such as that it will lead to disenfranchisement. For example, we saw in 2019 Lok Sabha elections in Telangana, large number of people raised concerns that our names are missing from the voter list. For example, badminton star Jwala Gutta, she also said that my name is missing. And then some research, some study was conducted, and it was found that in Greater Hyderabad area, this number is even worse. 2.2 million voters, they have been removed from the electoral rolls. Why? Because in Telangana, the voter IDs somehow were linked with the Aadhaar. And it led to a situation where all these duplicates, according to Election Commission, were removed. But the process was not without errors. This led to the removal of more than 2.2 million voters as well. But ideally what should happen is that if I am going door to door, I am the election authority, I am a government employee, I would go door to door and will ask you what is your Aadhaar number and what is your voter ID so that I can link the two. This is voluntary, this is optional. But despite the fact that it is optional, 60% of India's voters, their voter IDs have been linked with Aadhaar. And in some states, this number is 90%. For example, in Tripura, it's 90%. But the point is, if it is optional, but when I, as the election official, approach the people going door to door, I ask them, what is your Aadhaar number? They have the reason to declare that I will not share the Aadhaar number because this linkage is voluntary, it's optional, it's not mandatory. But these rules say, if you have Aadhaar number, you declare it. If you don't have Aadhaar number, you declare that I do not have the Aadhaar. There's a difference. I'm not sharing my Aadhaar number. But you can't do that. What you have to do is, you have to share your Aadhaar number. If you cannot share your Aadhaar number, then you have to say that we do not have Aadhaar. Which is not the case because majority of the people, overwhelming majority of the people in India, they have Aadhaar. Which primarily means that by practice, it is becoming compulsory. Which goes against the Supreme Court judgment. Where Supreme Court has said, link Aadhaar for your welfare schemes, for PAN, not for elections. In fact, this petition is challenged before the court as well. This is a petition before the court as well, challenging the linkage of Aadhaar with the voter IDs. But that's not the case. Activists raising concerns that it can lead to political targeting because you can get a voter ID card by using your caste certificate. And if your caste is now mentioned in your Aadhaar and Aadhaar is linked with your voter ID, it will lead political party to target such voters through their campaigns and ultimately political targeting, something that we saw because of Cambridge Analytica, where Facebook ads are deliberately used to target some section of voters. That means you are confusing the voters or you are corrupting the voters. That violates free and fair elections. But not just that, if you think the government has the access to all this data, the government can use these Aadhaar data to disenfranchise a particular section of the voters and remove them from the voter list. And ideally, when somebody is removed from the voter list, opportunity should be given to that voter. You tell us why your name should not be removed. Because if your name is to be removed from the voter list, I have to give you, as the Election Commission, I have to give you the opportunity to defend and tell me why your name should not be removed. And when 2.2 million voters were removed in Telangana because of the Aadhaar linkages, no opportunity was given to them to give up their own solution, to explain why their name should not be removed from the voter list. And that will violate free and fair elections. And that is what this column, the concerns over linkages with Aadhaar, with voter IDs, is all about. And for that, we need a data protection law as well, which is pending for a long time now. Unless and until that data protection law is, any project of linking Aadhaar with the voter IDs, this project may not be fruitful, successful. It will lead to disenfranchisement of Indian voters. Now let's look at some of the prelims-based questions. For example, Parrot lady of Khajuraho. G20 meetings are underway, and now what the government is planning to do, exhibition of those items, artifacts which have been repatriated, which means some artifacts were stolen from India. Now these stolen articles or artifacts were brought back to India. For example, in 2011, this Parrot lady of Khajuraho, which basically was illegally smuggled out from India, from Khajuraho, and then it was confiscated by Canadian authorities in Canada. And when Canadian authorities asked this person, show us the documents of this sandstone monument, sandstone artifact, this person was not able to prove it. And ultimately, the Indian authorities asked the government of Canada to please give this Parrot lady back to us because it is our cultural property. And one thing that you need to understand is that there is one 1970 UNESCO convention. According to this convention, the illicit import, export, transfer of cultural property is prohibited. So if this Parrot lady is the cultural property of India and it has been illicitly smuggled out of India, the Canadian authorities handed this Parrot lady to the Prime Minister Modi, and in 2017 it was brought back to India. Now this Parrot lady is being displayed in this exhibition in New Delhi because what we are displaying all the stolen artifacts which have now been repatriated back to India. And you need to understand that this Parrot lady of Khajuraho is made up of sandstone. That can be important for your prelims examination. This 1970 UNESCO convention, that can also be important for your prelims examination. Now on page number 1, another important fact related to prelims. United States is trying to encircle China, says the Chinese foreign minister. And for that, he is taking up the names of various organizations. One such organization is G7. G7 was previously G8. Now it is G7. What is the history? 1973, these facts can be very important. Stay with me for the next 5 to 6 minutes. Important facts we will discuss. Then enjoy the Holi. 1973, the finance ministers of 4 countries. Which are these 4 countries? United States, UK, France and Germany. What they wanted to come together and discuss because these are rich countries. They wanted to meet, and the then US President asked them to meet at the White House and in the library on the ground floor of the White House. And that is why these 4 countries are known as part of the library group. And this group became G4. So G4 is the origin, 1973. Then to this, a 5th country was added. That's how it became G5. And that country was Italy. First it was Japan. Then it became G5. Then G6, Italy. Then G7, Canada was also included. Then it was G8 when Russia was also included, I think in 1998. But then in 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea, this membership of Russia was suspended. After that, Donald Trump and other countries, they also tried to bring Russia back, but then other countries vetoed this. And Russia also said, we are no longer interested in being part of this G8 grouping. So it was G8 till 2014, and now it is G7. And who are the members of G7? What is the origin? This can be important for your prelims examination. Another organization being talked about is AUKUS, which is a grouping of Australia, United Kingdom, and United States. And this was started in 2021. And what was the objective? To build nuclear-powered submarine. And when this tripartite treaty was signed between Australia, UK, and United States, listen to me carefully, two countries were most affected. One was China. China said basically you want to encircle us in the Indo-Pacific region. These countries, they're basically saying that since China is expansionist, it is expanding its territory, it wants to expand its territory, we need to control the rise of China in the Indo-Pacific region. That is why lots and lots of agreements are being signed to single out China. One such is AUKUS. This was the question asked in the mains exam as well. And the other is an informal grouping known as Quad. A quadrilateral between India, Japan, United States, and Australia as well. But the point regarding AUKUS is that it affected another country, and that another country was France. Why France? Because Australia had signed an agreement with France for the manufacturing of submarines, electric submarines. But now because of this treaty in 2021, Australia basically ditched that agreement with France, and ultimately now United Kingdom and United States will help Australia with the manufacturing, with the development of the submarines. And the point is, very important point, this is for the first time that United States has shared its nuclear propulsion theory or nuclear propulsion technology with any ally apart from United Kingdom. Previously, nuclear propulsion technology, this was shared by United States only with United Kingdom. Now for the first time, it is being shared with other country, another ally of United States, apart from UK, which is Australia. And whether it is AUKUS, whether it is Quad, or whether it is G7, what Chinese foreign minister is basically saying is that all these groupings are basically used to target, to encircle China and control the rise of an emerging China in the Indo-Pacific region. And for that, we will discuss two mains-based questions. Number one, this is basically an ethics question, GS paper 4, which talks about the heat waves. The center has issued heat wave health advisory. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare also released a list of do's and don'ts to protect yourself against heat wave. The IMD has issued its first heat wave advisory for 2023. What steps would you, as the head of the district administration, take to reduce deaths due to extreme heat in your jurisdiction? Can be relevant for your GS paper 4. And then for your GS paper 2, the primary contest for the future of the Indo-Pacific region is simple. It is about preventing Chinese hegemony while avoiding catastrophic conflict. There are countries such as India, US, Australia, Japan, South Korea, they're all trying to come together. Why? Because they want to restrict the rise of China, because China is expanding its territory. All these countries want to restrict the hegemony of China, particularly in the Indo-Pacific region. But at the same time, they're also ensuring that there is no war. And it would lead to a catastrophic situation if there is a war. Look what Russia-Ukraine war has done to the world economy. That is why the intention, the primary contest is we need to reduce or eradicate the hegemony of China, but at the same time, we have to avoid a catastrophic conflict. That is all about today. Thank you so much for staying with me today. Happy Holi to all of you. We'll be back on the 10th of March. But do not forget to join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. with the launch of the Target Prelims Crash Course Phase 2, where we will discuss 400 plus current affairs topics. Thank you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.